In this video, I'm going to share with you my stories and lessons I've learned from posting on social media and turning that into $2 million. I've spent over 500,000 of those dollars hiring different coaches to learn some of these lessons, so I want to share them with you so you don't have to spend that much. At the same time, you can save time and make money quicker. So if you're an educator and content creator, this video is going to be extremely valuable for you if you want to learn how to monetize the attention you're already getting without relying on other companies and sponsors and platforms just to get paid. Make sure you stick to the end of this video because the mistakes that I made are not unusual. A lot of entrepreneurs make the same mistakes. I want to help you become part of the special bunch that avoids these mistakes. A really hard lesson that I had to learn was that just building a following alone doesn't just give you financial freedom. It sounds obvious when I say it in words, but I think every creator has this assumption. In the beginning, I started posting on Instagram blindly. The only thing I was focused on was growing that number of followers. You get so fixated on this one task that nothing else matters and you don't really think about the other parts that drive a business. So I just kept posting blindly for a long time until I started building a bit of a following, and it wasn't until then where I realized I was like, I have nothing to sell you. I have no way to make money off of this following I just built. But that was my big goal, was to be able to become self-sustained so that I didn't have to worry about a job, other companies, other social media platforms just to get paid. I could figure out my own way. But if I were to do that, then I need to figure out something to sell and a way to be able to sell it. That was a big lesson I had to learn, was that the attention wasn't enough. You need a sales system that brings in that viewer and converts them into a buyer. To save you time, don't just focus on how do I get the following and the attention. Start thinking about what am I going to sell them and who am I going to sell it to? And what medium am I going to use to sell that? Whether it's a web page, whether it's a physical store, how are you going to sell that product or service to them? Don't make the noob mistake I made. Don't just think about the following. Don't just think about the product. Think about them in tandem together, because the reverse is also false. The attention alone doesn't turn into money. If you just build a product and assume that they will come, they will not. So you have to think about both. And to think of what you're going to sell, all you need to think about is what problem does the person I want to help have. The bigger the problem that you solve, the more that you can charge for it. That is the one task in business, is solving problems. If you think about the iPod, the problem was that we were carrying around too many giant CDs and Walkmans and they kept skipping. The iPod solved that problem. If you think about a fidget toy, somebody just can't sit still, so they need something to play with. Even if it's a small problem, it solves a problem. So get clarity on who you solve the problem for and what problem it is that you solve. Having these two things will also help define the content that you make and make it more effective so that you're not just getting eyeballs, but you're getting valuable eyeballs. Another huge block and mistake a lot of new business owners make is pricing and packaging. I made the same thing. This is how you avoid it. When I started my entrepreneurship journey, I was a music producer, so I would sell music, beats to artists and rappers, and I would sell them for $15 or $27 here. I made the same mistake you're probably thinking about making, that every new business owner makes, and that we should charge low prices and sell cheap things because we're new. It's easy to assume I don't have that much experience when I'm starting out. I should sell things for cheap. It's hard to ever get off the ground when you're selling something for so cheap that you don't make a dent in your business. I wish I knew from the beginning how complex it was to sell low ticket products and try to be profitable. If you sell something for cheap, to make any sort of substantial income, you have to make up for that cheap price by mass amounts of volumes of buyers. Do you know how hard it is to get a lot of buyers when you're starting out? You don't have a lot of attention, you don't have a lot of money to invest in traffic. It's literally just math. If you wanted to make $5,000 a month and you sold something for $10, you would need 500 people to say yes in order to hit that goal. Imagine doing that versus getting one person to pay you $5,000. Do you know how big of an audience you have to have in order to get a small percentage to pay you $10 to actually hit 5,000. And if you don't have the following, guess what? You have to spend money on advertisement to get in front of more people, which costs you money. So if it costs you $5 to get one person to pay you $10, in order to hit 5,000, you would have to spend $2,500, which means that your profits just got cut right in half just to get enough people to pay. And selling low ticket, the systems are complex because there's certain things you have to have. So if you have something that's wrong in your sales page, on page 3 out of 9 of your funnel, it could be deterring a bunch of buyers, but you don't know because there's so many moving parts on that sales page. Or if there's something wrong with your checkout page, that means everybody who visits and runs into that issue is not able to purchase. You could have one email that says the wrong thing or linked to the wrong website. These small problems become big problems when you have to pump tons of volume into it. That's why low ticket is difficult. And as a new business, we just don't have the luxury to be able to sell cheap products. That's why it takes empires like Walmart or these big brands. They have the luxury and the resources to be able to sell cheap things, get enough people in the door where they're still profitable. Small businesses where you're the only owner, you're the one person starting out, we don't have that luxury. So what I did was I had to sell more expensive things, but that required me to be more involved in the sales process itself. But this is when things really started moving and growing. Instead of selling $10 beats, I would get on the phone and sell an artist a $1,000 production. But during this time is where I learned really vital skills that you just can't skip over. Things like learning how to do sales and negotiation, learning true marketing. Sure, it takes a little bit more of your energy at the time, but you get to charge more for each unit you sell, and you're learning these vital skills that you just have to learn in order to be successful, even if you had a team. You gotta know these skills to learn how to train them. So like I said, I started learning how to sell more expensive packages, $1,000 productions per song. I did that, got good at it. I started teaching other music producers how to produce in a way where artists would buy, and I'd show them my sales tactics as well. So I started growing a coaching business off of that. And I started charging more, $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, and I just kept increasing my prices as I added more value. As I learned how to build that teaching business, I started learning more about teaching business. And then I started showing other educators how to do the same thing. So this shows that you can change and progress. And as you learn more, you just keep earning more. Don't think that if you're choosing one thing now, you're limited to just doing that. You can always grow and expand. And that's the beauty of business and learning more. The biggest shift is I stopped trying to sell people something cheap immediately. I extended the sales process to build more trust so that I could ask for more in the end and make that person more valuable. How I did this was created content that solved specific problems for the people I knew would buy from me. As they engaged in my content, I would send them a message, ask them some questions, put them on a phone call, and that's where we would close the deal. I learned so many skills doing this process, and I made a majority of my money this way. So now it actually makes sense to go back and sell cheaper products once you've made the money with more expensive products, because you can make more money faster with expensive products than you can with cheap. And when you have the resources from the money that you've made, you can pour into selling the cheaper things. But here's a huge secret that most creators and business owners don't tell you about cheap products. Most of them don't make the lion's share of their revenue from selling cheap products. Their cheap product is just a gateway to them selling you their higher tier product. So you're gonna have to create a high ticket product regardless. If you wanna be super profitable, you might as well start there. Here's another big lesson that just slapped me in the face. You don't need a big following in order to make a lot of money. Many times viral content actually hurts sales. That's why you see a lot of big influencers who still struggle financially. It looks like they're crushing it on the surface, but when I speak to them on the phone, they still don't know how to make money. Don't just take my word for it. Think about this. Viral content by nature has to appeal to a mass group of people. And when you appeal to a mass group of people, you have to be generalized and less specific. And people don't buy from you when you solve general problems. They buy when they feel like you have a deep understanding of the problem they're going through. So then you have this huge mixed pot of viewers. There might be some buyers in there. Most of them probably aren't. Then you have to sift through a bunch of different people just to find buyers. So it just hurts when you go viral, because each set of eyeballs has a different value attached to it. Not every view is created equal. Think about a viewer who is a doctor versus a viewer that makes minimum wage. Nothing against them, but one has more buying power than the other. But don't worry, you don't have to talk about things that just appeal to doctors and things you don't like talking about. Because the main key to you getting a viewer that gives you money isn't their buying power, it's the desire that they have to solve a problem. This is literally the most valuable trait you can get from a viewer, when you get somebody who has a deep desire in solving the problem that you solve. So you can attract these kinds of viewers by speaking about higher level problems. Think about any journey that you go on. There's beginner problems, intermediate problems, there's advanced problems. Advanced problems are problems you don't even realize that exist until you've taken a bunch of time or effort in trying to get to a certain level. These are like problems you only know if you know. If you talk about those problems, this immediately filters out all the beginners and leaves you with just the best viewers. By nature, that pot will be smaller because there's always less advanced people than beginners. So naturally, it's gonna look like you're getting less views on your content, but truly you're getting more valuable views. And the advanced people, the viewers who are attracted to deeper level problems, tend to pay more because they aren't there to be entertained. They were there because they are attracted to a problem that you were talking about. And they're only attracted to that problem is because they're living it themselves. So if you can prove to be the solution, whether it's through your product or your service, they will be desperate to pay you for it. So this is a good thing. It's relieving to know that you don't have to build this massive following in order to make a lot of money. You just need to build an audience that relates to the problem. You need to create a solution to that problem. You charge more for it, help them on a deeper level, and you can make a healthy living this way. I briefed over this a little bit, but not only is it harder to sell cheap things, but it actually scares away your best clients and customers by charging so little. Watch this video to learn the deep psychology on a premium buyer, the buyers that actually like paying a lot of money. Subscribe and watch this video.